Welcome back to Good Morning SKN. Suicidal thoughts, much like mental health conditions, can affect anyone, regardless of age, gender, or background. Suicidal thoughts, although common, should not be considered normal and often indicate that there are other underlying mental health issues. Today we welcome Nadia Rawlins to Good Morning SKN, a counselor at the National Counselling Center, to give some insight into suicide prevention. Welcome to GMSKN.
Morning, Nadia.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Ooh, I love that.
All right. So, in the context of suicide, the World Health Organization reports that roughly 700,000 people die globally from suicide each year, and obviously we know that we're a smaller part of that,
yes.
pie. So we don't have that stats. We're going to be much less. But still, as I said in the introduction, suicidal thoughts are common.
Right.
What are some of the signs that someone might be prone to committing suicide? What should we look for?
Well, it depends on the person because everybody displays different signs. But mostly we ask persons to look out for persons who withdraw. You become more withdrawn, things that you used to love to do, you're just not interested in them anymore. Your mood is low, you're depressed. There's so many signs that you can look out for, So persons have different reasons why they think about suicide, why they have these ideations. And no two persons are alike. That's what we should always consider. No two persons are alike at all. You just have to pay attention to your loved ones, to your children, to your friends. To look out for changes, in their behaviors.
Well, thank you. One of the things that I found alarming is that, again, the WHO reports that suicide is the fourth leading cause of death among 15 to 19-year-olds. And knowing your past as a teacher working with people roughly in that age range, when you hear things like that, and based on your experience, of course, why do you think that is?
You see, sometimes we think that persons within that age group, they have nothing to worry about. We always think that, as a teenager, you don't have no stress, you don't have no bills to pay, nothing going on. But the truth is that, teenagers, they have a lot going on. It could be from bullying at school, feeling out of place at school. It could be their grades are not, where they would like them to be, and everybody else is achieving, and they feel like, nothing is happening for me, and talking about it is also hard at that stage. So you find that young people, as you said, in the school setting, they don't normally reach out for help. They have this thing that they don't want anybody in their business. You know how we are as locals, so they don't want to open up, so they don't speak about what they're feeling. So they tend to keep things in, and then sometimes it manifests that way, even just in self-harm, cutting themselves and stuff like that. That also happens.
This is a hard one to ask, but do we have a high suicide rate in the Federation?
I don't think we do. The statistics, that'll be better. You'll better get that from like the hospital, JNF, the psychological services department up there, but we don't really hear about that a lot. So you find when it does happen, it really alarms, it shocks everybody in the society.
So Nadia, how do I approach somebody, being that I'm not a counselor, right, that has suddenly withdrawn and as all the signs that you would have mentioned?
Right.
Is it my place to ask them if they're having suicidal thoughts in the conversation?
Well, you could start in general, just ask them, what's going on? I notice changes in you. I notice you're not yourself. You don't want to hang out as you used to. You're not talking as much. So tell me what's going on. You could start it from that standpoint instead of just coming out and saying, are you having suicidal thoughts? So, just get them to talk and open up what they're experiencing, what they're feeling, and hopefully, they'll be able, the conversation may lead to there and they say, hey, I've been struggling, and they might be able to open up to you a little more.
Wow.
Right.
Is it a misconception that talking with anyone about suicide, particularly vulnerable groups, as we just mentioned, would put the idea into their heads?
That is true. People think about that as well. Even when it comes to having persons in families or persons they've been close to who committed suicide before, although that can put you at risk as well, it doesn't always happen. So not because you're at risk for you talk about it, you hear about it, means that you will act on it.
So since I am not the counselor or I'm just the friend,
Right.
say I don't want to talk, period.
Okay.
Do I just refer them to the center? How do I deal with something like that? Because as you said, I don't want to put any thoughts in their head to do anything.
Right. You can encourage them. Like really encourage them, sit and talk with them, and encourage them to get some help. In case of family members and friends, I always like to tell people, even if you want to go with them, book the appointment for them, you know, like call and say, like, we're going to get you some help, I'll go with you, even if I sit on the outside, you know, just to be that form of encouragement and support. Yes, so that's important as well.
You know why this conversation is so alarming to me? It's alarming to me because we're talking about the signs, and obviously not everybody would manifest the same signs. But we've seen famous people who make other people happy, like Robin Williams, for instance, who out of the blue committed suicide. And you wonder, okay, we have these signposts, and we know that these people are not necessarily withdrawn; they're making everybody else happy. But does that take a toll? Because if you're doing that for other people, is anybody doing that for you? You know, who do you talk to?
That's true. And let's take, for example, as Chelsea Christ, that's the Miss USA, who committed suicide recently. Like, she was high functioning, depressive. Like, she suffered from depression, but she was high functioning. You know, she showed up. She did everything when the camera lights on. She was, you know, getting there, and you know, it really shocked a lot of people. Although her family knew what, you know, her personal struggles were. As you said, for us on the outside looking in, it's like this person had everything. You know, was in the spotlight, and Miss USA. Like, you could never think about it. You could never think that they would get to that stage. You know, and suicide leaves friends, families, communities with a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Especially when you don't know why.
Yeah. Is it common for that to be preceded by some sort of state of hopelessness?
Of course. Hopelessness, you feel like nothing is ever going right for you. And you just feel like there's nothing else to live for. So they have that feeling of hopelessness as well. You know, it's sometimes hard to understand how people get to that point. It is.
And even with the help, it baffles me as to why the act is still committed, because she would have done therapy, she would have done everything, and so why did the eventuality had to be her death?
I know her mother did an interview, and you know, the same thing as you're saying, the mother said she got help, we were there, we were supporting her, so, and she had a previous attempt, you know, but you still didn't think that
she would do it again.
So, I mean, suicide leaves you with a lot of unanswered questions, because the family, you know, they did all the right things, but she just got to that place of peace where she decided, this is how,
this is what's going to make me feel better.
Yes. And it happens, they get to that point where they're just at peace with their decision. Yeah, it's difficult. It is.
One of the things that I'm curious about is, well, I'll just preface it with this. Obviously, there are people who attempt suicide but who are not successful. And then they have to live, especially in a small society, with stigma. With people saying, you know what, I know that you attempted suicide.
Right.
And we talk about mental health. We talk about, you know, the context in which suicide might take place. What can we do as a society to ensure that we provide the necessary support to people like that instead of pointing a finger?
And that's exactly it. Stop pointing fingers. Stop judging. You know, you never know what the person's reasons were. You know, and we are not always forgiving as a society. You know, so, you know, once somebody would have attempted, and as you say, when successful, then it's, you know, you have persons watching you a little more keenly. Now, the watching can be good because, you know, you know what I mean? You know, the watching can be good, especially if family members keep an eye on you and stuff like that. But, I mean, it's not for us to judge and come up with our own conclusions and stuff like that. It's to form support in the community, supporting your family around these persons as well, to just help them through these difficult stages, because once you've had a previous attempt, you know, it's more likely that you will try again.
And I was asking you during the break that, is it the case that everybody have suicidal thoughts? And you said that's not the case.
No,
but
not everyone has.
mentioning that if we do have suicidal thoughts, what is the next step that an individual or individuals should take?
Well, of course, it is to seek out help. And not everyone will want to go there, and that's the thing, you know. But it is to seek out help, because, as I say, it's something is going on if you're going to have these thoughts. Something you're dealing with, something personally, whatever it is you're going through, financial stress, abuse, whatever it is happening with you. you know, it's important for you to seek out the help, because life is hard and it's getting harder financially for a lot of people. COVID was difficult to deal with. You know, people were still battling the effects of COVID. So persons are going through a lot, and it's just to seek out that help. You know, you can't do it alone. I always tell persons we can't journey through this life alone. You know, as much as we think, you know, you don't need people, we need a support. We need support around us all the time.
That is a valid point, because as I'm listening to you speak, I'm thinking, okay, we're talking about mental issues, depression, and so on. When you said financial issues and that could propel someone to commit suicide, I was a little stunned, to be honest with you. That was my gut reaction. It's like, I don't think about that.
Right.
And I think a lot of us don't.
We don't think about it. Yeah. I mean, think about it. If you're unable to pay your bills month in, month out, you know, no food on the table, you can't support your family. So that's a lot. That's a lot on your shoulders. So it's like nothing else is happening. I can't get a job. I'm not successful in any way. I don't see the reason why I need to be here.
So the social systems are equally important.
Of course, exactly.
As well as the community.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
So Nadia, what treatment options and therapies are available for person overcoming at suicide attempt, or they're thinking, they're having suicidal thoughts?
Okay, well, I think that we don't really realize that there's help in St. Kitts. There's lots of help in St. Kitts for persons who want to talk about, you know, what they're going through. And basically in therapy, it's about changing those negative thought processes that you may have, you know, to a little more positive, to get you to think differently, right? And there are options out there for you, as I said, in St. Kitts that you can reach out to. We have, where I work, the National Counselling Center. There's the Psychological Services Department at JNF. And, you know, when persons hear JNF, they don't really want to, you know, go there, but sometimes it needs to get to that point. Sometimes persons need to be stabilized temporarily, you know, if they have an attempt or anything like that. And there are also private counselors, a lot of private counselors that we have here on island as well, that are able to provide some support for persons.
All right. I know that this is not something that, you know, we have like a Band-Aid for every type of person going through this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. How can friends and family support a person overcoming suicidal attempt? And I'll ask this because it might be uncomfortable. Like, I might not know what to say. I might feel like if I get involved, I might exacerbate the situation. I might say the wrong thing. I might trigger. So what do we do? What can we do?
I think, as I said before, it's about providing that support. I mean, you may not know the right things to say, but just being there, you know, taking them to appointments that, you know, they need to go to, you know, that kind of thing. Even if you're the one to arrange the appointments, of course, with, you know, their permission and stuff like that. You do that for them as well. You know, you be there. You show up to the first appointment. You know, that's support. Support is needed so that they know they're not on this journey alone. You know, as I say, we don't always know the right things to say. We may be afraid to say something wrong, right? But it's important just to be there. Just that support is sometimes all that person needed, because they may have felt like there was no one there. You know, so having the support of your family members or a friend or whoever, it's critically important as well.
So is there a suicide hotline number, and and also is the number, well, Naeem always said it gets confuses with Domino's.
Domino's, yes.
Domino's. So can you give us those two numbers?
Well, we don't have a suicide hotline.
Oh, you don't?
No. But in situations where somebody would have made an attempt, we always encourage you to go to the hospital, go to the emergency room, so that you can be assessed and, as I said, temporarily stabilized. You know, the stabilization that you need as well, right? But, you know, if you're having thoughts, you figure that you need someone to talk to, you can reach out to us at the Counselling Center, 465-5000. And the Mental Health Association also provides a list of service providers, mental health service providers, on their Facebook page as well, that you can, pick, because not persons want to do private sessions. You know, it's your choice as well. So there are options out there. And as I said, the counseling services at JNF Hospital, headed by Dr. Crawford. Yes.
And so I think we ought to give you the last word, Nadia, because something tells me that there might be someone watching right now who has had suicidal thoughts, who might be having them. I want you to look into that camera and make a statement, give a message, anything that you want to say. Okay,
well, I just want to say, for persons who may be struggling with thoughts, help is there for you. you can reach out to help. You don't have to do this alone. As I said before, you don't have to journey through life alone. There are persons that are there to help you. Just let people in, let your family members know, your friends know how you are feeling, and they can also provide that support for you as well. Because it's very important for you to be able to talk things out, you know, all that you're experiencing, your struggles and everything like that. So it's important for you to reach out, and the help is there. You just have to take advantage of it.